Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today we have a long video, and that's because I'm going over all my favorites for the past 5 months, because Lord knows I haven't done one of these videos in forever, and I've just been loving a lot of the stuff that's been coming out, like absolutely loving. And I feel like I need to do a video. This is like my summer favorites, this is my spring favorites, these are, you know, going into fall favorites already. Like there's some things that are like fairly new, but I'm already like over the top obsessed with them, so I wanted to talk about them. So let's just get right into it because this video is gonna be so long. Let's get right to the sponges first, and I have 3 different ones at 3 different price points. So we're gonna start off, they're all dirty. I'm so sorry, but they're my favorites. Of course they're gonna be dirty, but the first one is going to be the Eco Tools one. This thing is so filthy, it's almost embarrassing. But so this is just phenomenal. I've been loving it for like cleaning up here under the eyes. It's so sharp, and the flat end really gets into your, you know, your skin. It really buffs everything in. Of course the bottom side's good for like bouncing. This is one of my favorite new beauty blenders. I just absolutely adore it. Like, you know, I use the foundation to clean up my eyeshadow when I want to kind of carve it in a little bit, and it's a must-have. And I want to say this is like a $6 sponge, so it's so amazing. Highly recommend. Next sponge is super similar to the Eco one. In fact, I'll hold them up side by side. It's gonna be the Tarte Double Duty, I want to say. So if you notice, I'm so embarrassed by how dirty it is. If you notice, like side by side, they both have like a really sharp edge. The Eco Tools has a much more narrow edge, where this one has a little bit more of a thicker one. So they're both really good when it comes to that. But I love how this one has 2 flat sides versus just the 1 flat side and then a little bit shorter flat side. That makes sense. They're so good that you almost can use them when they're not wet, but I do use them wet, of course. And this one's like $21, I want to say. So of course this is half the price, but you get a little bit more edge to this one to kind of like add a little bit more product. So like I use concealer on one side and I use the setting powder on the other side, whereas this one, it's kind of like, this isn't enough for setting powder unless I do like little bunches at a time, or I use the bottom. So that's the only difference between both of these, but they're both super superb, amazing. I highly recommend these for like foundation and for cleaning up the face and for powder. They're just so good, just opposite ends of the spectrum. Next sponge, and I'm so sorry if I'm talking fast, I just want this video to go under 15 minutes. Hopefully. Okay, next sponge is from Japonesque. It's also very dirty, and this one is dry, so it's not as big as it is, but it gets so big, and I feel like compared to all my other blenders, it doesn't soak up the product. It just takes the product and then applies it right on the skin. And I know Thomas Halbert actually raves about this one, so I picked it up after he mentioned it, and I'm just been obsessing ever since. And this one I want to say is like $10 or $11, so it's in the middle range. So as far as these 3 sponges goes, they all have unique shapes to them, but they all have their own benefits, and they're all like, just, I constantly wash those. Like those are the ones I'm constantly washing, whereas the other ones, like as you can see back here, I can go weeks without even touching any of those because they don't speak to me like these 3 do. So these are definitely ones that I would recommend. They've been my favorites for the last few months. All of them I paid for with my own money, so that's kind of one thing I can say about, you know, for sure, when it comes to all these things I'm talking about, you guys don't think that I'm like, then this is sponsored, I'm not being paid to do this. I know there's like some huge bubble and controversy and like what if circling the internet because of all that's going on, but I do want to disclose that none of this is sponsored. I'm not being paid to promote any of these products. These are just products that I have been loving lately. Some of them are received as PR, so I do want to disclose that, but for the most part, they're just things that I'm loving. Another face product that I've been loving just came out, like just came out, maybe like 2 weeks ago, and I received it as PR, and I feel like you guys are expecting me to say it, and it's missing back there, and it's going to be the Liquid Frost. So the one thing I will say is if you are not into glitter or you don't like shiny things, it's probably not for you. Me, I love to be shiny. In fact, I used it all over my face today. I don't even know if you can tell. I didn't use it as a highlighter, but I did use it as like a base for my foundation. But this is Frozen Peach, and this shade right here, I've been using it more than I've used any other highlighter like ever. and it's so perfect for everyday use. And I think that's why I've been using it. Like, I just dab a little bit on my cheek and then I go to work, which is so rare for me. I don't wear highlighters to work, as I mentioned in my review video, which I will put down below. I just don't do it. My workplace isn't an environment where I would need to be glam, so it's kind of like a bonus. But this shade is just so pretty. Even just to highlight the brow bone, throw on some mascara or even some falsies with like liner. Perfect. I'm obsessed with that formula. The other shades are really pretty, but as far as which one I've been using consistently and so much, and I know I'm already going to run out of and, you know, gravitate towards the most, like this will probably go to New York with me, is going to be the Frozen Peach one, that sells for $25, and I think that's a freaking steal because you get a lot of product and a little goes a long ass way. Next product. There are two face products. So one is the Too Faced Born This Way Multi-Use Sculpting Concealer, and this is in the shade Natural Beige. I am almost out. Like, I regret being so nice and giving them out to everybody. Like, I gifted the other shades to my friends because I thought maybe I wasn't going to use them, but I've gone through this one so much that I wish I had kept a couple lighter shades. So yeah, this stuff is so good. In fact, I've used it as just foundation some days. Like, I will just conceal, especially like now that my skin's a little bit better and I'm a little more happy with my skin. I feel a lot more comfortable, you know, dabbing on some concealer, especially this particular concealer because it's so full coverage, you know, just blending it out and then calling it a day. Like, that's how good this stuff is. Like, it can be used as foundation. And I think that's why I'm almost out, because I've used a little bit more than you would as a concealer, because it's so full coverage and it blends so well and your skin takes it so well that I just am obsessed. I want to say this sells for $27 and it's amazing. I do recommend this. I was sent this one as PR, like I said, with all the rest of the shades, and I kept two or three of them. This is just so freaking good. If you haven't tried it, try it. If you have tried it and you don't like it, let me know down below why you don't like it, because I'm pretty curious. Next face product is another one I actually received as PR, and you're going to know right off the bat I've been using it like crazy, and this is the M50 CoverGirl Foundation. And it's not just the shade that I love, it's the actual formula. I, as you can see, am almost freaking out, and I just received it back in, I think, May is when I received it, and I've been using it so much since. So it's lasted me a very long time, and this is my everyday foundation, like absolutely every single day. Unless I'm doing a video and I want to kind of branch out, make my skin look a different texture. Of course, you know, some foundations make me look a little bit more matte, some make me look a little more dewy. So I switch that up, of course, but as far as every single day, as far as the one I will use for any event, it's going to be this one. The formula is just so good, and in fact, I gifted a lot of these because I did receive the entire package. I did receive all the shades, and I gave them to my friends, I gave them to my family, and I haven't heard one bad thing about it. In fact, I gave some to my coworker just recently, who told me she doesn't wear a lot of foundation. She's very particular, and she took it and she loves it. So that's one like bonus I can say, is that even people who don't love particular textures or formulas have loved this particular one. And it's a drugstore, so it's, I think, less than $10, or maybe it's $11. I don't really know the price of it, but this is 100% on my recommend list because it's so good. And I feel like if there's a few things that I would recommend out of everything, it'd be this foundation, the concealer, and like the sponges, especially the Eco Tool ones. But I have a lot more to talk about, so don't quote me on that. Moving on is something from Derma E, and it is something that I have incorporated into my everyday skincare routine. Like, even if I do nothing else, even if I don't wash my face, even if I don't use a toner, even if I don't use moisturizer, I use this. And this is the Derma E Tea Tree and Vitamin E Oil, and this was sent to me as PR, and I cannot believe how good it is. I feel like it's truly, I don't know how to explain it, because I feel like I don't break out as much, and it's really sucked dry all the areas that would break out, like all my problematic areas, like this part of my face. There's only one part of it that is still giving me a little bit of trouble, and I feel like that's just scarred up versus like it's not active acne. So there's only so much the tea tree oil can do, but this stuff is just phenomenal. I use it just on my dark spots, and they've lightened up. I use them like anytime I have a pimple coming on, like this one right here. So this one, yeah, this one right here, I've just been like drowning it in this stuff, and a little goes such a long way. This is something that I will rebuy and rebuy and rebuy and rebuy, because I 1000% believe in this. So if you have problematic skin, this is something that I would so recommend. I'm not a dermatologist, I'm not a professional, so don't like take this to the doctor and be like, Rosie said this. It's just something that I love and I've seen improvements in my skin for. So it's super amazing. I mean, even the smell alone smells good because I love the smell of tea tree oil. So that is a must have, and I've been using that for the past, I think, 2 months. And that's basically when my skin's gone from like night and day, which I love. Moving on. So I feel like what I'm about to say is a little bit, I don't know how to explain it, but ever since Stila released the Magnificent Metals, there's obviously been some knockoffs. There have been different brands releasing theirs. And I've just come across different ones that cost less that are just so good, and I highly recommend. If you're looking for an alternative, and you know, these are ones that I would recommend gravitating towards. And there's 4 different brands here, and they're all my favorites. Like, I alternate from them because they're all so good, and one of them is actually a little known brand. So if you are into indie brands, then I would definitely show them some love, you know, check them out. But the first one is going to be Pixie, and this is their Liquid Fairy Lights ones, and just the way it applies is so pretty, and it's so pigmented. You're going to probably hear me say that a lot, but they have shimmers very similar to the Magnificent Metals, where, as you can see, when it shifts, it looks different, and it looks pretty, and it looks like beautiful on the eyes. So it's like definitely one that I just recently got, and I gravitated a lot towards. In fact, I just used one in my most recent video that got a lot of attention on Instagram. So the next one is from Pop Beauty, which is the sister to Pixie Beauty, which I mentioned, I want to say either in my last video or the video coming up. And these are their flash shadows. So these are their flash shadows. It's a liquid eyeshadow, and this one here is next to it. So as you can see, they are so pretty, and they don't have as much texture, which is, I think, what I like about them. The Magnificent Metals did have a lot of texture, and they dried out really quickly. So the next one is from Popstar Cosmetics, and this is the one where I mentioned it's from a really small brand. Well, they're not that small, but they're pretty small. They're not really well known. I followed them a couple last year. I think it was like last year when I started following them, and then I added to their PR list, and they sent me these, and I feel like they haven't received the love that they deserve. And I did do a video with this particular shade. This is in the shade Bewitch, and it's their, like, what do they call it? Mesmerize Eyes. I think it's Mesmerize Eye Liquid Mousse or something. But the difference between theirs and like the Pixie Beauties is the shimmers in it are super fine, like ridiculously fine and tiny, and again, no texture, but you can see the shimmer in it, the way it looks, the way it shifts, and it's so pretty. It's basically very, very packed liquid glitter, and I love that about it. Absolutely love it. I wish the camera would capture it properly, but of course it's not. So yeah, I think those are like $18, I want to say. I will link them down below. The last one, these are going to be a little bit more chunky in texture when it comes to it. And I just bought these a couple of months ago, and I started using them. I feel like these aren't as pigmented for the price, but they still are super pretty and like unique shades versus like the Stila ones that I don't see as much unique shades with, except for as of recently. Sorry, I'm mumbling. So the last one is from Lime Crime, and these are their Diamond Dews. These are the most expensive ones out of all of these, but they're also like micro glitters, and they have different shades, whereas like the other ones have one shade. They have like one glitter and a variation of that glitter. The Diamond Dews have, like this one I can see 4 different reflex. They have different reflex to kind of make it a little bit more, there's more definition, more dimension to your look. So it's really cool, and that's what I like about those is, and again, they're not grainy, but they're the grainiest of the 4. But I feel like they're that much better than the Magnificent Metal. So definitely these four formulas, as you can see, they're all really pretty, even under the lights. I recommend those. So those are more eye products. I do have some eyeshadow palettes too that I want to talk about, but we'll go right into lips really quick. I have 4 lip products. One of them is formula, and those are the Lime Crime plushies. So this formula is so freaking unique. Like, I did not know I would love it, and then I received one as a PR gift, and then I end up buying 5 more. That's how good it is. It's hard to explain. They go on as a tint, but they're very buildable, and they don't get heavy. They don't crack. They're like they're legit a stain for your lips. And, you know, again, you can add on to it to make them more pigmented, to intensify the shade, or you can go just a little bit and call it good. My favorite thing to do with them right now is to apply a shade and then pick like a complementing lip gloss. I know lip gloss is weird. Let's not talk about that. And put it over, and it just, it's a game changer. I absolutely love it. Like, this formula is so good. This formula is so good for layering. I highly recommend this. I know there's there's a purple shade, there's red shades. They're just phenomenal. Like, this is a one unique formula that I don't believe any other brand has out there, that I think Lime Prime nailed. I want to say they sell for $20. I think $20. When I picked them up when they were 50% off, so I saved a lot of money. But the way they feel on the lips is just so light, so airy, and again, so buildable. You hardly know it's there until you put the lip gloss over it, if you decide to put lip gloss over it. So this is so up there on the must-have list, my favorites list. I think I said so about 15 times during that statement. I'm so sorry. Next one is a Jeffree Star shade, and it's already fading because I use it so much. That's how embarrassing. And I feel like I've already talked about this. Maybe I didn't, but if I did, it's still my favorite. So there you go. It wasn't fake last time. It's still my favorite, and that's Thick as Steve. This shade is just so perfect for everyday use. This is one where you can put a lip gloss over it, whether it's a nude gloss, whether it's a clear gloss. It's just so pretty. Like, it's probably the most perfect shade aside from Gemini, and I love Gemini until I die. It's my favorite shade. Like, that's like my ride or die. And in fact, it's sitting in front of me, but I'm not going to say it's one of my favorites because you guys already know it's my favorite. I'm just saying. But that's a must-have. That I feel like if, you know, any of the newer shades, that shade just was so perfect. And I know it's a traditional lipstick, but you guys need the liquid lipstick formula. It's so good. Moving on, next shade. This is one that I swear they kept it a secret from me, and it's actually called Secret, which makes me very, very angry that I was kept such a beautiful shade from me. And it's from CoverGirl. It's their Melting Pout Matte, and I was so surprised at how much I love this. It's kind of like Thick as Thieves, but it has a little bit more berry to it, a little bit more red to it, which I really like, and it looks a lot like just a stain on the lips. The texture and the formula is really good, and I will say when you apply it, it almost is streaky. I don't want to say streaky, but it almost needs some layering. And it is a unique formula that you do have to kind of play with in a different way than you would regular lipstick. Regular lipstick, you can kind of go this way. This one, if you move it too much, I feel like it does shift the lipstick, which you don't want. So it's kind of one of these you have to be a little more patient. But the shade is so pretty, and I actually really do love the formula. You know, especially from a lipstick snob like me, I was blown away, and I've used a couple other shades from them, but that's just my favorite. That one stays in my makeup bag nonstop. I won't take it out. If I do, I'll go crazy because I need it for the days that I actually forget lipstick. Anyways, moving on. Next product. You guys are gonna be surprised. It's a lip gloss, and this is from Buxom. And as I mentioned in my last video, or the coming up video, Buxom's lip gloss formula changed the lip gloss game for me. It's just so good. And this is in the shade Moscow Mule. And not only do I love it because it is called Moscow Mule, and Moscow Mule is one of my favorite alcoholic beverages, even though I don't drink anymore. It's just such a pretty shade. Like, this shade complements every single nude. It complements nudes and it complements reds. And that's what I love about it. It's like it pulls so uniquely and so perfectly that you can wear it with those shades that range, reds, browns, nudes, and it doesn't look too overwhelming. Like, it doesn't wash it out. It doesn't make it look too brown. It just makes it look really pretty, and the formula itself is incredible. One of my favorites. So that is definitely one that I need a full size of because I'm almost out of them already, and I've just been using it so much. Like, I used it, I think, a week straight, and then I was like, wait, I need to switch up my lips a little bit because it's, yeah. So that is one I would recommend. Those are the 4 lipsticks and formulas that I have been wearing nonstop. Of course, there's some other oldies that I've been wearing as well, but I feel like these are ones I need to mention in this particular video because I don't know if I have, or if I have, then they're still my favorites. So let's just move on. Next product is a blush, and this is from Tarte, and this was also sent to me as a PR, and this is their Fairy Flush Amazonian Clay 12-Hour Blush. And this shade, look at this. Look at this shade. You're kind of like, that's pale as hell. I feel like this is the the Mood Blush. You know, you apply something and it changes colors based on your mood. I think there's only lipstick, but that's what this feels like, because as pale as this shade looks, as, you know, almost unflattering as it would look on my particular skin tone, it's just gorgeous. Like, it pulls so well. I don't know if it's because of like the undertones in my skin and foundation that just pull out such a pretty color for it, or if it really is just like a shift changing shade on my face, but it's just incredible. I was blown away. I tried it because it was a look that I was doing that wasn't very, I didn't want it to be too much blush. And when I put it on, I was like, whoa, wait a second, this has more pigment than I thought. This has more color than I thought. So I've just been loving this so much. I use it in a lot of my looks, which I cut out because, you know, you guys don't want to see me use the same products over and over again. But it's a must-have. Like, this is one blush I think Tarte nailed it with. And I don't know if they have it in, like, before, but it's definitely one that I'm kind of like, wow. Must have. Next product is a highlighting palette. This is the Wet n Wild Maker Glow one. I don't know if I've talked about this yet, but this is like a $15 palette, and it's just so pigmented. And I know you guys like the little ones are super popular, but this right here is like a hole-in-one. Like, you just get such pretty shades, and that green shade is just my favorite. Like, that's my favorite out of all of them. So pigmented. They don't look chalky, especially once you lay them on. Like, some highlighters look a little bit thicker, but this one is amazing for a drugstore. Like, I used this like crazy for a while. I've stepped away from it because I've received so many new highlighters since, but this is still a must-have, and I used it just recently, and I cannot love it anymore because it's so good. So this is definitely one to recommend. Okay, so I feel like this video has already been half an hour long. Last two items are eyeshadow palettes. One of them I'm not going to talk about a lot because it's been in my last video, but I do want to just emphasize how much I love it and how, like, my love has not changed for it. And it's the Blood Sugar palette. This is just 1000% the palette of the year for me. It's perfect. It's the shades. I use it like crazy, and you probably couldn't even tell. Like, people have actually commented on it. They're like, why does it look like you haven't used your palette? I use this palette once a week, at least once a week. And considering I own over 100 palettes, probably 200 palettes, that's a lot. That's a lot of usage out of one palette. So I did want to throw it out there. I know it was restocked. I don't know if it's restocked again, but I know a couple of my friends were able to pick it up. But if you haven't yet, pick that palette up. Even if you aren't a big fan of reds or don't really love reds or feel like you can't do much with reds, pick it up for the fact that you can use it with another palette. Like, I know you have more palettes, and this is the best complementing palette you could possibly get your hands on. Trust me. You'll thank me later. Last palette I want to talk about is also in, I don't know if the video is coming up next or if I've already posted it, but if I have posted it, I'll link it down below, is this Profusion Sienna's palette. So this is, I think, a $12 palette, maybe $16, and it's sold at Target, and it is so good. In fact, it's the one I'm using on my eyes. It blends so amazing. It has an amazing brush, which I do not have in here right now because it's dirty. And it's so pigmented. The shimmers are gorgeous. And like I said, it's so cheap, so affordable. And it's a super amazing everyday palette. So if you're looking for one that has like a little bit, you know, cranberry for kind of a cranberry look, you want a little bit more corals, like you want a little bit more yellows, you want a little bit more nudes, it has everything. Like, this is the perfect everyday palette, and it's a drugstore palette. I guess if you want to call Target a drugstore palette, but this is so good. I feel like Profusion has really stepped up their game, and I was sent this as PR, and I've used it quite a few times since because it's just so good. And like I said, I use it in this look today, which I really, really like. I feel like this is almost modern Renaissance-esque type palette. Like, it's so good. There's not a lot of fallout. Everything's pigmented. You can build up the shades. You can, you know, lighten them up. They blend out so good. It's just an all-around 100% palette, and it's under $20. I highly recommend this, and I mean, I can't even say enough good things about it. It's just a really good palette. It's at the top. It might even be a palette of like the end of the year favorites. I don't 100% know, but that's it. Those are my favorites. I feel like this video is going to be so long, and I'm so sorry, but it's kind of long overdue. I need to start doing them more often. Like, I really should have done one for spring, but I didn't because I felt like not enough people wanted to watch them. But here I am recording one, a long one. So if you do like these videos, let me know down below, and I'll keep doing them. Like, I really will. And if you don't like them, please just walk away, pretend it didn't happen. If you want to see me do something different, let me know. If you want to see me do like a full face of my favorites next time, I can do that as well. But just let me know down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this video. And if you're new here, welcome to my channel. I'm RLQ.Rosie on Instagram. You can follow me there. I will link all my social networks down below. And if you're a longtime subscriber, I appreciate you. I love you. I'm so glad you come back to my videos every single time. Just thought I'd say that. But that's it for this video. I will see you all in the next one. Bye.